Hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Let's dive right in because it can take the next 40 minutes, and I want to be very comprehensive on this presentation today about the phases of nutrition and how it relates to your transformation. And then I'm going to open up for questions at the end. Welcome everyone, and hope you all are doing well. Type a 1 in the chat if you can listen to me and if you can see my screen with the first slide of the presentation, just to make sure that we're all here on the same page. Hello. Awesome. Hello. Hi, Monique. Hi, Supriya. Hi, Jasmine. Hi, Amy. Hi, Carrie. Awesome, ladies. Awesome. And in the meantime, while I'm going through the slides, you can definitely drop in the chat any questions that you might have. So that way I'll answer them at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. And then as people jump in, I will go ahead and let them in as well. So phases of nutrition. So for those of you who have been in the program for quite a little while, you know that you go through phases, and you might have gone through many of those already more than once. So let's dive a little bit deeper into which one are they, what the purpose of them are, and what to expect of each of those phases. This might not be necessarily related to the phases that are in the program per se. This might be phases that not everyone is going to go through, because it depends on a few factors, and you're going to understand why. So first phase of nutrition is the non-dieting maintenance phases. Okay, so as the name says, maintenance is maintaining, right? So you're not wanting to lose weight, you're not wanting to gain weight, you want to maintain your physique. So in nutrition means that you're eating the same amount of calories that your body is burning on a daily basis, okay? So the term non-dieting, TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, is used interchangeably with maintenance calories, because if a person consumes calories equivalent to what she's spending in a day, the net energy balance is going to be zero, right? The body weight will be maintained, okay? Now, granted, this is not like set in stone. Oh, my maintenance calories is 2,000 calories a day. Therefore, I burn exactly 2,000 calories a day. I should eat exactly 2,000 calories a day. That can fluctuate on a daily basis, and that has been proven by research. That's not a specific number, a set number, but rather a range. So because we do spend a different amount of calories on different days, depending on the activity levels, right? Depending on menstrual cycle and so on and so forth. So maintenance is rather a range between that fluctuates around 200 calories up or down, depending on the day. But we have, on average, a specific number to refer to as maintenance calories. And this is not to be confused with BMR, okay? Because I know some of you already know, like, oh, this is my BMR. This is the BMR, the minimum calories that I need for my body to survive. That's exactly what it is. BMR refers to the number of calories that your body needs in order to survive. Like you're laying on a bed, like a vegetable. This is the minimum amount of calories that your body needs. TDEE is that number plus all the calories that you spend throughout the day for all the other activities. Okay, including walking around, doing your chores, working, exercising, so on and so forth. So never, ever, ever take the BMR number as the number that should be your maintenance calories. Okay. So your maintenance is often going to be your total daily energy expenditure, the total amount of calories that you eat and that your body needs on a daily basis. Okay. Benefits of maintenance, benefits of not being on a surplus and not being on a deficit, being on maintenance. So it enables the body to achieve homeostasis. So maintaining your current physique. And this is often what we do after a period of dieting phase, after a reverse dieting. We stay in maintenance for a little while because most of y'all have never spent enough time maintaining. You're always trying to burn, and it just only leads to crash and burn, not necessarily to a healthy metabolism. It will also be good for optimizing your energy levels daily, optimizing your metabolism, just a healthy overall balanced production of hormones, easier to make gains in the gym compared to when you are in a deficit. You feel better in general, easier to eat out and be flexible. So the flexibility component becomes easier to introduce because your calorie budget is going to be higher. There's less stress, less anxiety and mood swings compared to a fat loss phase. And there's definitely less anxiety around food compared to a dieting phase because you're eating at a more balanced amount in general. So you feel more satisfied overall. If you've ever been on a maintenance phase, like proper maintenance phase, and eating the same, like eating a decent amount of calories to maintain, you know that you feel a lot better and you even have less cravings, you have less anxiety around food than when you are in a fat loss phase. It also promotes healthy and regular menstrual cycles and fertility as well. Minimal to no food cravings. Like I said, hunger also decreases quite a bit, or it's more in control. And it obviously removes the stress that's placed upon the body when you are in a calorie restriction. Okay. So overall, it promotes a positive biofeedback. So you feel better, stress levels are dropped, energy levels are better, sleep is better. And obviously you feel more in control of food. And at that point in time, you can start utilizing intuitive eating. So there's no way to use intuitive eating or mindful eating just to achieve a specific goal, especially when it comes to weight loss. You need to learn to measure, to track your food, to use food portions first before you get to the point where you can intuitively eat and not track and still maintain the results. Okay. Who is a good candidate for maintenance for this phase? So a client who does not want to lose or gain weight. Okay. So if you just want to maintain your current body weight, but improve other areas in your health, or rather wanting body recomposition. A client who has been chronically dieting. So if you come to us eating or thinking that you're eating very, very little and having like binge eating cycles where you eat very little and then you binge on the weekends, you most likely need a very comprehensive and well-structured maintenance phase before we even think about doing a fat loss phase with you. Okay. Female client who is seeing changes in menstrual cycle, or they are a byproduct of calorie restriction, that very often happens. This is more so when we see very lean women that gets to a very low body fat point. And if you have never been on a maintenance for the past year or so, if you've always been like either dieting or screw it mode, you probably need a maintenance phase. Okay. If you are feeling low energy, to a point, right? So Me and Jessica, for example, as coaches, we'll look at your biofeedback every week. We'll look at your, how your stress levels, libido, hunger, sleep, recovery, how often you're getting sick, your mood swing feelings, all of that. We'll look at all that and determine if maybe now it's the time to bring your calories back up. And we've done this multiple times with clients where the goal is to lose fat, but the calorie restriction is just not working. The calorie deficit is just not working because they have all of these other stressors going on, and adding on a calorie deficit would just increase the issues. So we would just bring it back to maintenance, maintain for a while, and then go back to a fat loss, to a cutting phase. A client exiting a building phase. So if you are building muscle for, let's say, 6 months, and then you want to go back to, you want to do a cut, we do a maintenance phase first, and then we enter a cut after that. Okay. So if you're not seeing progress with your weight loss and your calories are already super, super low, then will not decrease your calories further, because that can be very risky and it's very hard for you to stay on track with that anyways. So we would most likely increase your calories, leave you in around maintenance for a while first before we decrease calories and go back into a deficit. Okay. If you want to maintain your weight and just focus on other things, like you want to focus on your hormone balance, just taking care of your stress, and also body recomposition that can happen for a few of you, which is in the case that you are new to strength training, to resistance training, and proper structure when it comes to lifting weights. If you are, if you are coming back from an injury, from like a period where you had to take some time off because of an injury, if you have higher body fat levels, like if you're obese or something, that will also, like those 3 scenarios will be most conducive to being able to build muscle and lose fat at the same time if you're eating around maintenance. Okay. Still, I like to go in either direction, either towards a build or towards fat loss slightly, just because we can get there faster. But if you are a candidate for body recomposition, that's typically what we do. We don't do a drastic calorie deficit right off the get-go. We'll do a maintenance phase and increase your output in the gym. And that should be enough to start the process of building a little bit of muscle and losing a little bit of fat at the same time. Okay. So if you're exiting a reverse diet and we're just establishing a TDEE, establishing a new calorie maintenance level, that will also be the case for us to stay under maintenance. So for those of you going through reverse diet, or if you just finished reverse diet, the goal of a reverse diet is to take you out of a fat loss phase without regaining the weight that you've lost, and while at the same time bringing you back into maintenance calories so you can maintain the results there before we transition into another phase. Okay. What can be achieved in maintenance? So like I said, a period of homeostasis for the body. So things are not going to change every single week. You're not going to see changes every single week. So maintaining is progress in that case, which will optimize, your internal health, the way that you feel about yourself, and just avoid regaining the fat that you lost through the fat loss phase. Also, just learning your true nutritional needs for your body. Most of y'all should be able to eat way more than you aim to eat on a daily basis. And most of you will have trouble on the weekends and when you're eating out and just going off the rails because you try to live in a constant state of dieting for majority of the time. So you've never really increased your food in a safe way, and you've never given your body the opportunity to stay at a maintenance level safely and for enough time for your body to just breathe and relax and readjust in terms of hunger levels and controlling cravings and so on and so forth, right? Like I said, the intuitive eating approach, as well as your hunger and fullness cues, are going to be more accurate. We do feel more hungry when we are on a fat loss phase. That's a given because we're eating less than our body burns, right? So I don't know why people are so surprised that their hunger levels increase, but they're supposed to increase because you're eating less than you're burning. So that should be the goal. Obviously, you shouldn't starve yourself, but a little bit of hunger is absolutely normal during a fat loss phase. And when you are in maintenance, we kind of stabilize that. So things are more stable. You feel more satisfied sooner. You typically tend to just eat the portions that you're eating and not go overboard. So it's a more relaxed approach, which leads to better decision-making around food. Like I said, body recomposition with the right training protocols, right? So you cannot achieve body recomposition without the right training output, okay? So that won't happen if you're not training super hard in the gym. Healthy and balanced hormones as well. So things are more stabilized. Like I said, stable mood, everything stabilizes around maintenance, right? More mental clarity and cognitive power. So I know that a lot of you, or this is just so normal, especially if you've been on a fat loss for like at the end of your fat loss, you're going to feel, more brain fog, and just like you feel more sluggish overall, right? That's your body's way of trying to conserve energy. So when you bring your calories back up to maintenance, you think more clearly, you think better normally, okay? Improved digestion as well, regularity with bowel movements, better physical performance because you have more calories to give you the fuel that you need in the gym. Healthy libido, improved fertility, high quality sleep, easier to navigate holidays, vacation, eating out, traveling. Because let's say if you're on a fat loss phase and you're eating 1,300 calories and now you're in maintenance around 1,900, you have a bigger budget to play with around those seasons, and that can be a lot easier than trying to save up calories when you are in fat loss for those situations. And just like life is better when you're in maintenance, and eating according to what your body needs at the moment, but nothing will change a whole bunch. So that would be the, before I jump into the building phases, that would be the, one of the things that it's normal to expect if you are in maintenance. Notice all of those positive aspects that I just touched on, but also expect that it is normal to not change every single week, to not see huge differences on measurements or body weight. Body weight, it will still fluctuate because it does fluctuate on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, and then it reflects on a monthly basis, but it should stay around the same ballpark, give and take a couple pounds up or down. But in terms of the measurements and how your body looks when you take photos, you shouldn't expect huge differences, but rather the differences that I just mentioned on how you feel, how you perform, your strength levels, and just overall quality of living, right? Building phases now. I'm just going to drink a little bit of water, see if there's any questions there. Any questions regarding maintenance phase? Drop them in the chat and I'll reply to them now. I think that would be easier than going through the whole thing and then coming back. Listening on my drive on my way back. Okay, awesome. All right. If you guys have any questions regarding maintenance phase, drop them in the chat below. If not, That's totally fine. I'll move on into the building phase, which is also known as bulking, gaining, building. They all refer to the same phase, which is increasing your calories above the TDEE. So above maintenance, okay? Combined with the intense, structured, and progressive weight training program for the goal of building muscle, okay? So we have your maintenance calories. Calories you take in are the same calories that you put out. So you're maintaining your body weight, right? If you are to eat more than that, more than your maintenance calories, what's going to happen is if you have proper output in the gym, if you have a structured, well-designed, progressive resistance training, and you're truly putting on intensity there, not huffing and puffing, feeling tired and sweating. That's not what it is, but really bringing to muscular failure in pretty much, the main exercises in each set, like following the workouts as they are designed, respecting the rest periods, tracking your weight and purposefully increasing the weights in each set, in each session, making sure that you're getting stronger, making sure that you're getting that mind-muscle connection, because it's not just about increasing the weight. Otherwise, we would all be doing like a powerlifting program, or it is how you're feeling each muscle working when you're doing each one of the exercises, right? Placing enough muscle tension. So in a building phase, you're going to be eating more than your body needs, but that's intentional because your body needs that calorie surplus. Your body needs a little bit more in order to build some tissue, right? Because when we're on a calorie deficit, when we're trying to lose weight, what we're going to do, we're going to eat less than our maintenance calories to burn, like that gap makes the body bring all the energy that it needs, the rest of the energy that it needs from your fat storage. Now, if you want to build something, you have to have extra calories for the body to do the effort of building a new tissue. So you need more calories to build muscle. So many of you are coming to me wanting to look toned and wanting to, which in the end, toning means building muscle. But you're trying to do that while at the same time you're trying to eat super little and trying to burn all this fat and trying to do it all in 4 weeks, right? So that doesn't happen that way. That's why it's so important to transition through the phases and know what to expect in each one of them. Okay. All right. Benefits and outcomes of a build. So it is the fastest way to gain muscle. Because like I said before, you can do a body recomposition phase, which is gaining a little bit of muscle while losing a little bit of fat while you're eating in maintenance. You can do that. However, it does take more time because you're going to be doing a little bit of both. And not only does take a little bit more time, not everyone is a good candidate for that. And there's a certain threshold that you hit, right? Like you can only be a beginner for so long. You can only take advantage of that beginner or newbie gains for so long. At some point, you're going to need more, right? At some point, your body's going to be like, okay, I'm done. Like, where do you want me to go? So it is the fastest way to build muscle, right? Fastest way to achieve progressive overload, hit PRs, increase strength, right? Because again, you have a surplus of calories. And if you're doing it right, you're going to feel like a beast in the gym, right? Fast recovery, again, more calories, more fuel. If it's distributed correctly, you're going to recover faster. minimum to no soreness because you're just more used to it, high performance output and stamina, full muscles with maximum glycogen stores. The pump is 24/7, meaning that you are going to be eating more carbs, and carbs are also stored in the muscles in the form of glycogen. So that's where the pump comes from. So if you do like at the end of your session, you do like a glute burnout with 15 to 20 reps, like super high rep stuff that you're literally feeling the burn, that will, the muscles will look more swollen. It will look bigger, although it didn't grow in that specific session because of this glycogen stores that's there. Okay. And it can be fun because it's often more food and things that you can have a little bit more flexibility, even more than maintenance calories, because, well, the flip side of this is it's really hard to eat more than you need. Believe it or not, it's really hard to just stuff your face and eat all the calories that you need to eat, because you're never going to be hungry. You're not going to be hungry. We're going to be eating past satiety on purpose, okay? Which can be uncomfortable at times. And there are other aspects of a build that can be uncomfortable, especially for women. Now, I'm saying that you're going to be eating more, you're never going to be hungry, and a build, you have a surplus, you need a surplus of calories to build muscle. In your head, you might be going like, oh my gosh, I'm going to need all of this food and I'm going to eat 5,000 calories a day. No. That surplus will probably represent anywhere from like 250, 300, 400, maybe 500 calories a day. The way that we do it, and that's the reason why I call it lean build, is because we do it in a very progressive way to make sure that you're not adding unnecessary body fat. Okay. So there is actually one training that I did, and the recordings are available in the ACF app on that topic: what to expect from a build, how to navigate a building season, especially when it comes to body image and body weight, gaining fat, etc., etc. Okay. So those are the benefits of a build. And important to remember, yes, you're going to be eating slightly more. You're going to be, you're not going to be hungry all the time. You're going to be building muscle. However, it is not a green light to just eat fast food all day because you have all of these calories to fulfill. Okay, so if you want, I want to build muscle because I want to be in a surplus, I want to have all of these calories, because you want to take advantage of eating fast food and eating crap food and blah, blah, blah. That's not how it works. The quality of your calories still matter, and it probably matters even more on a build than on a fat loss, okay? It's not a free-for-all to eat as many calories as physically possible. So it doesn't work like that. Oh, so if I'm eating 300 calories above my maintenance and I'm going to be building muscle, what if I eat 1,000 calories more every day? I'm going to build faster. Nope. Building muscle is never, ever fast or quick. You cannot speed up the process by eating more, or by eating more and training more. It doesn't work like that. It's really a slow process. So don't try to just like, oh yeah, so I'm in a build, so I'm going to eat whatever. Nah, doesn't work like that. Okay. It's not an excuse to fit in way more calories on alcohol. Alcohol and building muscle is not like, it's not a great combination. It doesn't go together. Alcohol and the body doesn't go together at all. So yes, you can enjoy a glass of wine here and there. I'm not here to tell you, or, to allow you or to not allow you what you should be eating or drinking, right? I'm not a babysitter, but you need to have that information to make better decisions, right? To make an educated decision. And when it comes to alcohol, it is detrimental to your goals. It is detrimental to body recomposition goals. There's no way around that, right? So make your decisions based on that information. That yes, it's okay to have a glass of wine here and there, but if you're constantly trying to fit in alcohol because you have the calories, you're doing it wrong, because it will be detrimental to your results for sure, because alcohol is never going to be contributing to your muscle gains or to your fat loss phase, to your like it's always detrimental. There's no positive effects of alcohol. And last one, building is not easy. It is not easy. Live here, I don't see anyone who has gone through a proper build phase, but I know that many of our clients have gone through a building phase. And I think we've talked about this before. It is not easy because it's a mind fuck, right? So you've lost weight, you've gotten lean, and then all of a sudden you increase a little bit of calories and you increase the energy output in the gym. And then all of a sudden you start to gain a little bit of weight, right? And that's the fear for most women. And it often messes up with your body image, and it often messes up with, it seems like I'm going backwards. But you have to remember that the purpose of a building phase is to gain weight, right? And if you're doing it right, if you're following the protocols, if you're training with enough intensity and following the training structure that we set up for you, you are building muscle. It will come with the cost, with a little bit of body fat on top. You might not be able to see that right now. Clothes might be fitting tighter for a while. That's absolutely normal. That's part of it. It's a mind fuck, I know, but it's part of it, right? It's uncomfortable. Face that discomfort for a while, and then you're going to reap the benefits later, because a well-done build means that the next time you do a cut, the next time you do a fat loss phase, you're going to have a way better foundation to show off. You're going to have a much leaner physique. Who is building right for? Okay, building, bulking, all interchangeable, like they all mean the same thing, okay? So if you want to change your body composition and gain muscle, that's right for you. If you want to see muscle growth at a faster rate than maintenance or body recomposition would offer you, if you are less than 24% body fat, take this with a grain of salt, because this is not like set in stone. It's not like an absolute prerequisite or anything like that, especially because the exact body fat percentage is really, really hard to measure. So we go by looking at you and determining where your body fat most likely will be like. But in order for you to enter a building season, you have to have gone through, if you were over 24% body fat, you have to undergo a fat loss phase first and shave off the excess body fat first. You have to set a certain foundation in place before going into a build. Okay. And the reason why is because you might put on a little bit of a body fat with it, and we just don't want to like compromise and just put on more than ideal and bring your body fat percentage to much higher than needed to be. Okay. If you're experienced, have good form, and train with proper intensity. Without these factors, you will not see optimal results. So if you don't know what proper form looks like, if you don't know how to put enough intensity in the gym, if you don't know how to engage your muscles, it's going to be really hard for you to go into a building phase, because you're not going to be putting in the initial spark into the signal that tells your body that's time to build muscle. Okay, because the nutrition takes care of giving the body enough material, enough fuel to build those muscle fibers. It's a very, very slow process, guys, very slow. But the first initial spark for that to happen is actually your training in the gym. So it starts there. It doesn't happen there, but it starts there. That's the first signal. So if you don't know how to do it properly, if you have been kind of winging your training and winging everything and kind of like going through the motions, skipping workouts and things like that, you might not see the results that you're looking for. Well, you will not see the results you're looking for. That's a given. Okay. So that's why the building phase in our program is actually the last phase, and only for those who successfully go through all of the other phases. successfully. So if we determine that you're not ready for a build, no matter how much you want to, build muscle, we're never going to let you do that because you're not ready for it. So we're only going to give you what you're ready for. Okay. Who is not a candidate for a building phase? If you struggle with your relationship with food and have a history or proclivity to binging, okay, so if there's any sort of struggle there or any history that might compromise your relationship with food, that's probably not going to be the case for you to do a building phase as much as you want to. If you're not okay gaining fat mass, well, a little bit of fat with the muscle that you're putting in, it is uncomfortable. It is an uncomfortable process because us as women, we are conditioned to get lean. We don't want to go backwards, right? But if you think about it, ladies, like look at the physique models, look at the physique competitors, the bikini competitors, those fitness influencers, blah, 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 who have like truly elite physiques. They don't just stay on a fat loss phase. They don't achieve that by starving themselves and do a bunch of cardio or by doing their body weight workouts that they try to sell on Instagram. They don't. They train super hard and they undergo phases, especially the competitive athletes. They will go through a proper muscle building phase and they know that they're not going to look as lean as they look on stage. It's a mind fuck. It's hard, but you have to face that discomfort if you want to change, right? So you go through a building season for, let's say, 6 months, 9 months. You might put on 5, 10, 12 pounds, and that's uncomfortable. But know that if you're doing everything right, yes, that comes with a little bit of fat, but you're putting in muscle, which will change your body composition. Like that will change how your body looks, how your shoulders looks, how your glute looks, and blah, blah, blah. So when you go through a fat loss phase, you're going to look different than you did before. But if you are not okay with that drawback, with that, flip side of the building phase, then definitely don't do a build. Like just stay where you are, just stay around maintenance, right? You might build some muscle, but again, it might take way longer for you to see the same or to get even close to the same results, right? If you have an injury, if you cannot train fully, if you have such limited time and cannot lift weight for at least minimum 3 to 4 days a week, a build is not going to be for you either. Okay. Because you got to be putting in the output in the gym. And if you want to lose weight more than you want muscle building, if you're not super lean already, because we'll tell you, hey, you're already too lean. You don't have weight to lose. I've told a few of you already that, girl, no, you don't have more weight to lose. You have to build muscle to change your body the way you want. But for some of you, you might need to lose more weight. So you might not be ready for a build. And 2, that probably is your priority. You have higher body fat and you just want more weight loss than you want muscle building. So why undergo a building phase if you're not ready for that, right? And if you have any other conflicting activities and goals as your priority. So if you are marathon runners, if you, I don't know, all of a sudden you decide to go into powerlifting, endurance races, or different types of classes, cardio-based, blah, 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 and those things are your priority, you enjoy those more than changing your body composition, don't do a build, because you cannot build muscle while you're working. You have to be specific with the goals and specific with the type of training that you do for the goal. Make sense? Now, before I start the fat loss, let me know if there's any questions regarding the building phase. Drop them in the chat and I'll answer them now while I sip on my water. No questions? Ladies, you guys are so quiet today. Are you still there?
I have one enter. I posted one in the chat.
Okay. Awesome. So, okay. Let's wait for Supriya's question. We're going to go through that before we jump into fat loss.
Oh, oops. I think it went directly to direct message. 1 second.
If you want, you can, like, you're already unmuted. So, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. I can see it. I'm not going through bulking, but in reverse diet and eating more and lifting heavier. Sometimes I struggle with constantly telling myself that I have to lift heavy. But how do I know if I'm lifting a good amount and still enough to build muscle? Sometimes I don't want to compromise form, even though I can probably do the heavier lift. That's a great question, because oftentimes we'll just say, hey, you need to lift heavier, you need to increase weight, which is true. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you earn that increasing weight, that you're not compromising form. So one, your form has to be there, but also your muscle engagement has to be there. So it's not just about lifting heavier. It's about, are you contracting the muscles in a way that it brings it closer to muscular fatigue? Meaning that you cannot perform any more reps at that weight, even if you wanted to, with proper form. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
Are progressing. So here's the thing. Progressive overload is not, and we can just have like one call just for progressive overload because it's very comprehensive, but progressive overload doesn't just mean to lift heavy, right? Lifting heavy for the sake of lifting heavy, that's another sport. What we're doing here is body sculpting, right? Building muscle. And the idea of training for muscle building is to place more tension on the muscles over time. That's progressive overload. So you're doing more over time. The muscles are being challenged more over time each time you do a training. That can mean increasing weights, right? Increasing the load, because that's the easiest way to measure how heavier you're lifting week over week. But also, if you're improving your form and technique, if you're slowing down the tempo, if you are, if you have better muscle connection, if you're potentially doing more reps with the same weight, if you're doing more sets with the same weight and reps, so overall increasing the volume week over week, you are also applying progressive overload. So I can lift the same weight that I lift today, and I can lift that same weight next week. If today I did 10 reps and that was my max, the 10th rep was a real struggle. Like if a gun was pointed to my head, I would not have been able to complete the 11th rep or the 12th rep. Then if next week I do 2 more reps and that 12th rep is really, really hard, I'm applying progressive overload, because even though I didn't increase the weight, I increased the amount of work that I can do with that same weight. Make sense? So if you feel scared to bump up weight, which is normal, always ask yourself at the end of each set if you could have done more. And if you could have done more reps, if the answer, in how many more? Like if you feel like you could not have done any more reps with that weight, like that was your max, great, you did your best, right? Now, if you're like, you know what, I could have keep on going and I could have squeezed in 3 more reps out of this, then you might need to bump up that weight for the next set or for the next week. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. There you go. Awesome. All right, so let's jump into fat loss phase or cutting phase. Okay. So we refer to, let me mute Monique. There you go. So we refer to fat loss, we refer to cutting, we refer to deficit phase, we refer to, like, it's all the same thing. So cutting, fat loss, deficit, all of that mean the same thing, right? So it is consuming fewer calories than you burn daily. The purpose of reducing body fat mass. Remember that we don't care about the BMR number, and we don't care about the number that our Apple Watch shows us here that we're burning every day. So I forgot to mention that. Do not go by your Apple Watch or your Fitbit or your Oura Ring or whatever device you use, because that's not accurate, okay? So when we're in maintenance, we eat the same as we burn. When we are on a building phase, we are eating on a surplus of calories, more than we burn. And if we are on a fat loss phase or on a cutting phase, we will eat less than we burn because we want that deficit. So that's what it means, okay? And we want to do that for a period of time. It's not just Monday through Friday, because if you bring your calories up again, then you're going to exit the cutting phase, you're going to exit that deficit, and your body will not change the way you want. So where's the next one? Okay. Benefits and outcomes of a cutting, of a fat loss phase. Obviously, if your goal is to lose fat, that's the purpose of fat loss, okay? Typically involves an increase of physical activity, which can improve health for individuals who may have been sedentary prior to starting a fat loss phase. It can help teach more about nutrition and what's in the foods that you consume, okay? And how to emphasize more fruits and vegetables, more lean cuts of meat, your micronutrient consumption, your macronutrient consumption, the breakdown and the ratio. So it's not just about calories in versus calories out, but the quality of the foods that you're eating, how much fiber you're eating, and how that balance of things helps you go through a cutting phase successfully, healthfully, and also learning the foundational steps that you need to maintain that all throughout the other phases, okay? And obviously, depending on where you are, dropping weight, losing fat, losing body fat will lower the risk of developing lifestyle-related chronic illnesses, obviously. And also, it may improve insulin sensitivity. So the ability that your body has for processing carbohydrates, for example. So some things to consider about cutting. Obviously, it may feel restrictive for certain people, but it is restrictive. So let's call it as is, right? So going through a fat loss, as much as we adapt and include things that you like, and we manage to add on a sparkle of flexibility in there, fat loss is hard. There's no other way around it. And it will be restrictive because you are restricting calories. So I don't know why the word restrictive became so feared if it is the reality of things. Obviously, I know that comes from all the bullshit that's out there on social media and the diets that are really, really bad, such as Optavia, Nutrisystem, what else? Herbalife, anything that is like just a scam to sell you something and doesn't teach you anything. That's pretty much the restriction that we're talking about here. You don't need that, but you need a certain level of, constraint, a certain level of restriction to actually drop body fat, because you're gonna need to give your body less than it needs, right? It creates a stressed state for the body, even if executed perfectly. So that's why we emphasize so much, hey, if you're going through a fat loss phase for the next 12 weeks, just like put the blinders on and go all in. because the more all in you are and the more you follow the protocols and you execute it as is, the shorter it will be for you, right? It should be the shorter of all of the phases. So you shouldn't spend a year on fat loss unless you have 100 pounds to lose. That's most likely not the case for most of you, right? If you have like over 100 pounds to lose, then yes, there's a lot of body fat storage there that we can pull from, and we can stay in a deficit for longer because your body can tolerate that. But if you have like 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15, 20, 30, no, let's do that as quickly and safely as possible so you can exit it out and not stay there, because it just creates more stress to the body. And it is a stressor because your body needs to adapt how to survive and how to keep on doing the things that you want to keep doing with less calories than your body needs. So it is a stressor. Typically makes internal health suboptimal to some degree while in the cutting phase, even if executed perfectly. Can produce symptoms like hunger, a less stable mood, slightly less energy, and stamina. All part of the game. And that's why we emphasize food quality, and we have been emphasizing food quality so much, not just hitting your numbers, because the more high quality food that you eat, the more like you have a really good micronutrient profile, the more you have a high fiber intake and so on, the better you'll feel through the process and the better you're able to adhere to a fat loss phase. Okay. And even still, you're going to feel slightly hungrier. You're going to feel slightly moodier. You're going to feel that you don't have as much energy as you do have on other phases. So imagine trying to be on a fat loss, eating crap all day just by hitting your macros with, very low quality foods, low fiber. What's going to happen is you're going to feel even hungrier. It's going to get harder for you to adhere to the protocols. Your mood is going to go to shit and your energy is going to tank. It's terrible. And then what happens is you cannot maintain that for a very long time. You cannot. You're going to have binge cycles because you're just filling your macros with crap and you're not giving your body what it needs in terms of quality micronutrients. And you're going to feel a lot worse through the process. You're not going to be able to stick to it. You're not going to get results. Okay. So, and even if you get results, you're going to feel miserable. So, it's normal to feel slightly hungrier, moodier, and less energy. Yes, but we can mitigate a little bit of that by improving the quality of the foods that we are filling our macros with. And that's why most women that are starting right now in our program, so if you've started a while ago, this might have been different for you, but we're starting with new protocols of a no guesswork nutrition plan. So we will give you, hey, here's what you need to eat during this phase, instead of, hey, here's how you track your macros, because many people are not skilled yet to get there safely. So we first give you what you need, and then we transition you into a macro tracking phase, which makes most sense when you are on maintenance or when you have a little bit of more of a wiggle room to play with. Now, typically during a cut, you will lose a little bit of muscle. Okay. We counteract that with higher protein and proper strength training that could mitigate that a lot. So losing weight and losing fat is not the same thing. If you are strength training, if you are eating high protein, and if you are, following all the protocols, you do not risk losing a lot of muscle. A little bit, maybe, but not a lot. Like it, as if you were just focusing on the weight loss and focusing on eating less calories without considering all of the other factors. Okay. most professionals agree that this is the hardest phase of nutrition and requires the most intentionally tracking and consistent protocol execution for results. So you cannot get away with eating good Monday through Thursday and just eating crap from Friday till Sunday and expect to see results, because you'll not. You cannot just eyeball portions and expect to see results. Like, there's gotta be more work involved. It is harder, but that's how you learn also how to optimize the little budget that you have. Now, who is a good candidate for a cutting phase? Well, if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose fat and improve, just how your body looks in general, yes, you're a good candidate for a cut. But and also, if you have the time and the bandwidth necessary to dedicate and executing the protocols consistently, this does not mean that you have to be perfect. This does not mean that you have to live in the gym or to, have to eat crazy stuff and meal prep for 5 hours. But you need to be willing to put in the effort to make that work and follow what we're saying, right? If your caloric intake is maximized during a maintenance phase also, then obviously you're a good candidate for cutting. And if you've spent at least, and ideally longer than this, 3 to 4 months eating at or above non-dieting maintenance, like we mentioned before, if you are in good physical and mental health, obviously, if you want to lose fat and build muscle, but have 10 plus pounds that you wish to lose, if you are already like sleeping well, managing stress and recovering well, and obviously if you are a female and you are ovulating, having healthy protocols, healthy periods, then obviously that's also a good time for a cut. If an individual with a history of eating disorders far in the past, who currently is not suffering from the same eating disorder, okay? So if you have been cleared by your therapist, or if it's okay for you mentally to diet. This probably isn't the case for any one of you here, because we do the interview call before you jump in the program, before you join the program. We have a conversation, and if there's any red flags in that sense, I would have not invited you to join the program anyways, okay, if you weren't ready for it. Breastfeeding clients, if you're cleared by your physician as well to lose weight, then absolutely you can do that, okay? Questions? Oh, no, sorry. I jumped the gun here. Who is not an ideal candidate for a cut? That's a good question, actually. If you've been chronically under eating, okay, with or without knowing. So we need to bring your body to homeostasis first. We need to go through a maintenance phase first before we even go into a cut, okay? If you have, like I said before, eating disorders diagnosed by a licensed professional, not by Instagram. And obviously, if like tracking and monitoring your food is triggering for you, obviously this is not a good fit. And if you have like currently low, poor biofeedback, that's why we ask you every week how your sleep, your bowel movements, your energy levels, etc. are, because that gives us information of where we need to make adjustments, okay? So low energy, bad sleep, poor digestion, low sex drive, etc. If you're having like crazy stress levels at work that is impacting your ability to execute the protocols, then it might not be the time for you to go through a fat loss phase. Let's just pause there. Let's just go through a maintenance phase first, okay? And obviously, if you just completed a reverse diet, so the purpose of a reverse diet is to bring you up to maintenance. But if you just finished a reverse diet and you've been in maintenance for less than 3 months, we're not going to do a cut. We're not going to do another fat loss phase, okay? So it's not the right time for you yet, okay? If you have like menstrual cycle loss, irregularities, things like that, if you are, like I said before, chronically in high stress, high cortisol issues, recovering from surgery, just like very, very underweight, just barely at normal weight. We're not going to do fat loss phase, even if you want to. If you're trying to be pregnant, again, it depends. There's a spectrum there when you're trying versus exactly where your body fat levels are, because losing weight, losing fat can improve your chances of having a healthy pregnancy anyway. So that's a little bit of a grain of salt on that topic. And if you are pregnant, currently pregnant, you're not going to go through a fat loss phase because it's not going to happen. Okay, just like my case here. Questions, now open to questions through all of the phases. If you want to unmute yourself, show your beautiful face on the camera, that's also recommended if you want to, or drop the questions in the chat below. Any of the phases, any questions? Anybody has a question non-related to this presentation today? Maybe related to your program, maybe related to, like, take advantage of me. It's almost my bedtime, but I still have some brain power here. So if you have any other questions within the next 2 minutes, I'll answer them. If not, we're going to wrap up. Tell me. If you're good to go, though, if this was helpful and you don't have any more questions, just drop a 2 in the chat. So I'll know that you're good to go. You don't have any questions regarding anything and that you're hearing me. So drop a 2 in the chat if that's the case. Awesome, Supriya. Awesome, Jasmine. Fantastic. No question. So happy to be away from Herbalife. Yes, girl. Oh my gosh. Yes. Awesome. Lovely. Thank you so much for jumping in, ladies. I will drop the recording link tomorrow in the WhatsApp group, and it will be available in the app as well for you to watch later if you want to. And if there was any insights that you got from this call, drop it in the WhatsApp group. Let the other ladies know, just so we can help them also incentivize them to watch the recordings later. All right. Have a great rest of the evening, great rest of the week, and see you later. Bye.